Hi there guys, so today we are going to be revisiting the iPad 3rd generation, which was released on the 16th of March 2012, and I have had this iPad since release day, so this makes the iPad 4 years and 8 months old. So I just thought we'd have a little look at the 3rd generation iPad nearly 5 years on. As you can see, I have the iPad in this leather flip case, which I have always used, hence why it's a bit mucky because it is nearly 5 years old. Yeah, so I've always had it in that, but for the purpose of this video I will take it out of the case. So aesthetically, I would say that this device is quite a good looking device. I've always had a bit of a problem with how thick the borders are around the screen, but apart from that, I think it looks pretty nice. I mean, it is coming up to 5 years old now, so you may notice some usage wear. So I dropped it one time down here, and as you can see, the screen kind of lifted but didn't smash, and the metal's a bit mashed in. And on the connecting port, it is bent a bit. But apart from that, it is still going strong, and I've never smashed the screen. The back looks pretty fresh. Yeah. So let us take a deep look into the 3rd generation iPad. So it was known as the new iPad when it came out because it was the first Retina display iPad. And I also remember that it wasn't a long-lived iPad, so it was discontinued after 7 months because they did bring out the 4th generation iPad, which was a bit faster and had the new Lightning connector at the same time as the iPhone 5 came out. So that's pretty disappointing considering I paid £399 for this tablet. So spec-wise, this tablet comes with 1GHz CPU and a gig of RAM, and the model is a 16GB of memory, which isn't a lot in this day and age. It can't really hold a lot of things, but back then I suppose it was more acceptable. I must admit that ever since getting this iPad, I haven't really used it a lot because I never really saw the point in it, because I've always had like a MacBook and an iPhone, so this was kind of like the middle device that Apple probably made you feel like you needed, but I've never ever really felt the need of picking it up and using it. So to me it is a bit of a pointless device, but I still have it because I never got around to selling it or doing anything with it. And as you can see, for a 5-year-old device, it is getting pretty laggy and slow now. So when you load an app, let's say ASOS, which is a good clothing app, it will take its time to load everything up. And then once it does, getting back to the home screen can sometimes be quite laggy. Just doing everyday tasks can be a bit of a pain. It's not too bad, but it is noticeable when you've got like a really new MacBook Pro and an iPhone 6s Plus. You can definitely tell the lack of speed when opening and closing apps. Say Spotify, that'll be a long one. As you can see, it's got the little loading symbol. And it overall just takes pretty long to do simple things. I just thought we'd do a little speaker test after 5 years to see if the sound quality is any worse than it was originally, and I'm sure I'll be able to tell you. So I will pick a song, no copyright intended. I'll only play like a brief 5 seconds of it anyway. Let's play this one by Luna George and Yogi. It's called Blow You Up, so we'll play this one. So it's pretty loud, as you may be able to hear or may not be able to hear. And I'm pretty sure that's the same as it was when I got it. It's about just a bit louder than an iPhone really, because obviously the device is bigger, it can fit more in. And yeah, that was just a little look at the volume and how loud it is. So going back out of that, spec wise, it's not modern, but 5 years ago I think it was a pretty respectable spec. So thinking of the camera, it's got like a VGA one up here, 5 megapixel on the back, which isn't too shabby even for now for a tablet. And to say it is nearly 5 years old, the battery life does actually hold up pretty well. So from the off, it was always claimed to have 10 hours of battery life, and it's still really good now. So if I charge it and use it a bit, it'll last like a full week, because the batteries on these things are quite big, and because I don't use it that much, the battery has kept its charge, and I've never really had to go to Apple and get anything replaced on this device. It's always been very good for everything really. So when this device first came out, it did release with iOS 5.1, and ever since it has been pretty good with the updates, but recently it just stopped being updated. So the last support of an iOS firmware is 9.3.5, so it didn't manage to get the iOS 10 that came out with the iPhone 7. I just took a few pictures to show you what the camera is capable of on the rear facing iSight camera, which is 5 megapixels, so you can judge for yourselves how good or bad the camera is. If I try zooming on things. So I just took this picture of my window in my bedroom. And this is a video. Which isn't seeming to want to play for some weird reason. Let's see if this one does. No. That one will. That's a picture of my shrine in my room. It's just got a few candles on and a signed daughter vinyl. So in my opinion, it is not the best camera, but I don't think you'd ever want to go around and actually take pictures with a 5-year-old iPad. It's just a little revisit of one. This one isn't too bad. That's just my wall. So yeah, that's just how it performs as a camera. I suppose throughout the years I have used it mainly for watching things like Netflix and TV shows because of the big screen, and it's quite portable. It's quite easy to take places and watch things on. The memory kind of lets it down because 16 gigabytes you can't really store much on it. And also compared to like the newer iPads and stuff, this thing is like really heavy. I think this is like the heaviest iPad they did. I think it's heavier than the iPad 2 because they had to fit more in for like the Retina display and stuff. So it's not very easy to carry because it is like a baking tray, but a heavy one. Yeah, I'm not too sure really, but I think I may buy a new iPad whenever Apple bring out a new one. Just let me know in the comments what you think about the iPad 3, or as to me buying a new one, if it's worth it or not. Yeah, so overall, it's a bit slow and laggy. It's 5 years old. It still works. If you were wanting to buy one, I'm sure you could probably get one of these really cheap somewhere. And it does the job, like whatever you need to do. It still supports most apps and everything like that. So that's all cool for now. I'm not too sure how long that will last. I'd say give it another 2 or 3 years until apps start not supporting iOS 9.3.5 anymore. But yeah, that's just a little brief overview of the iPad 3rd generation, nearly 5 years on, and thanks for watching.